welcome to another Horror Review Sunday. Let's continue the filmography of Stuart Gordon. Rest in peace. I've done a review for Reanimator, I've done a review for Castle Freak, and I've seen Dolls, and I'm sure there's something else I've seen. But yeah, now let's continue and talk about From Beyond, the Shout Factory Blu-ray release. This came out probably like 5 years ago, I think. How long is this movie? It's not that long. No, it's not. Another short Stuart Gordon film. This one, once again, has the same people from Reanimator, even crew, and this one was shot in Italy, just like all the other Charles Band movies, like TerrorVision, which I also recommend you watch. TerrorVision is fun. This has Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs, and it's got Stuart Gordon directing, you got Brian Yuzna producing. Once again, it's got the same cast, it's got the same special effects artists from Reanimator. Every name in the cast and credits of Reanimator is basically in this movie. Same team and everything. This is basically the sequel to Reanimator. It even says right on the back, from the creators of Reanimator. So this, although is a very different tone, this is a different type of movie. And also very great. This was my first time watch, and I highly recommend it. So let's get into my thoughts. What are my positives? First up, Ken Foree, or Ken Foree, however you want to pronounce that last name. I like his character. He's the voice of reason within the movie when they're saying, like, let's do this. He's like, are you crazy? No, let's just get the hell out of here. He's that character. He's very funny, and he's just Ken Foree. In every movie he's in, I just love him. Rob Zombie's Halloween, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Dawn of the Dead. He's just amazing. It's just, I don't know what it is about the guy. He's just lovable. He's very likable. I've heard in real life, he's that guy. They say whatever character he's playing, it's usually just him in real life. Just a badass but sweet guy.
Were we in the same nightmare? I mean, didn't we just almost all get eaten by an it?
All it takes is a hand on the switch. If it appears, you make it disappear.
I got a better idea. How about if we disappear out the door?
I also like the effects in this movie are probably what really makes this movie so iconic. It's just the effects. You got John Carl Buechler at the helm again, in charge of these special effects, and a few other guys. One guy like lost a couple of fingers almost, just hanging by like tendons. But the effects are just amazing. They're like on The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing level. And there's just creatures that are so unique looking, just all kinds of monsters. And then there's like monsters within monsters that break out of them, like plant looking things. It's just all slimy and just great looking. It's very mesmerizing, and it's just like, that's what we're missing in film today. That's what we need to go back to right there. So the effects are top notch. They don't even really age that much. There are a couple of things that age, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But for the most part, like over 99% of it is just great. Barbara Crampton, once again, she is just sexy as hell. Her character is like very professional now. I like that we get to see like a different version of Barbara Crampton. Because like before this, she's always been like the damsel in distress or just the girlfriend. In Reanimator, she was just the blonde girlfriend who took her top off a couple of times. And then in Chopping Mall, she was the girlfriend having sex, showing her boobs. And finally, she plays like a professional woman who's graduated college. She has a career. And this is probably one of her best performances. And even she says that this is her favorite role. It's a breath of fresh air. It's just something different. You know, she's not the same character again. But we do get to see her in a sexy outfit later on, so that's a positive. And you get to see her boobs for a couple of seconds, so that's always nice. And I love the score. Once again, you got Richard Band, like Charlie Band's brother, doing the score. He does the score for a lot of Empire films. I think he did a score for Castle Freak maybe, but I know he did it for Reanimator. He's done it for all kinds of Empire films. I think he did TerrorVision also, but he always just creates a iconic score, very just catchy and very 80s like, and I love the score for this movie too. I think it won an award. I like how weird and different this movie is, especially as it gets going towards the second half. It's just weird. Like the creatures are weird, the little antenna on the forehead, just how crazy it gets, like sucking brains through eyeballs. It just goes there. It's supposed to be straightforward and very serious, but just some of the imagery and what's going on, it's kind of funny. So I'm not sure if they were trying to go for that. I love the pink lighting and the atmosphere of like the beyond, because to make you realize, like to help you know when you're in the beyond and when you're just in this dimension. they change the lighting of the scene. They make it all pink and like purplish looking, and I like the look, just the aesthetic of it. It builds some atmosphere, and I like the cast. I pretty much already talked about that. I like the cast, and you got Jeffrey Combs. But as for my negatives, there's only like weird like visual effects, like some dated. I'm not sure what you would call it. It's not CGI. I don't think there was CGI back then, but there's these weird like eel fish that like float around, and they're not actual practical things. They're like some weird computer effects, and then there's like this one flying monster for like 2 seconds, and it just looks awful. Crawford, the character of Crawford, and basically all the characters except for Katherine, played by Barbara Crampton. There's not really much story here or character development. This isn't a movie that's really focusing on these characters that much, so that's a bit of a negative. I want to know more about these people, especially Crawford, played by Jeffrey Combs. This movie just starts with him building this resonator, and then shit happens, and he gets like arrested, sent to like a loony bin, and then he's just crazy the entire movie. He's just always got this look on his face, and nobody believes what he's saying. There's not much growth to his character. He's just that way the entire time. But then he turns into the monster. But just like there's not much to his character. There's not much to Ken Foree's character. I just wish there was more to their background. They give you a little bit of motivation behind Barbara's character, which I liked. I was hoping that we would get some motivation about why she's so like hell bent on like getting this resonator started again. Like, I want to see what you saw. It's like, why? We get some motivation behind her character. We learn about her dad. Her dad had schizophrenia, and she's trying to cure schizophrenia. That's why she really wants to, further study this resonator and find a cure. So I like that, but the other characters, especially Jeffrey Combs, I feel like his character is just very underutilized. He's not very well developed. He's just crazy the entire time. He's not entertaining. There's not much to his character. Another thing is, this is just a nitpick, but it's in quite a few movies, especially action movies, where there's a countdown. Somebody plants a bomb or some dynamite in this case, and they set a timer, a ridiculous timer for such a long amount of time where it's like you could get out of that building in 1 minute, but she sets it for 5. And we get this shot of the timer, and it's like 30 seconds left, and then like 20 seconds goes by, and then it cuts back to the clock, and it's like 5 seconds has gone by since the last time. It's like bullshit. 20 seconds has gone by. So that's just a little nitpick. But other than that, final thoughts. I think this is just a fun 80s sci-fi horror. A little bit of comedy, but not much. This is supposed to be straightforward. If you are a fan of Reanimator, don't expect the same thing, but it's still fun. It's still got, a good cast and great score and fantastic special effects that are definitely worth seeing for that alone. It's just the special effects. So when it comes to From Beyond, I highly recommend checking this one out. Add it to your shelf. Go out and buy it. The hottest chick in this movie, of course, is Katherine. Dr. Katherine, played by Barbara Crampton. And the best scene in this movie is when Barbara Crampton gets in that sexy leather outfit and starts riding Jeffrey Combs. Alright, so let's talk about this movie. There's not a whole lot to say. There's not a whole lot that really goes on in this movie. It's just lots of cool special effects and visuals. Not much story, so there's not a whole lot that I wrote down. I found it interesting that the address of the house is 666, just like in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. And then you see this guy, they go to the hospital where Jeffrey Combs is, because, he starts the resonator, and then he gets attacked, and then his partner gets killed, and then he goes to the police, they arrest him, and he's locked up, and then we meet Barbara Crampton, and she's going like room to room, and we see all these like mental patients. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Hellraiser 2, Hellworld, a movie I don't like, and I'm gonna keep bringing it up. I've said it like 3 times in like 3 separate videos now where I bring up Hellworld, and I'm like, I don't like it still. But there's like this guy violently jerking off, like he's like about to rip his dick off. It made me laugh. Like seriously, they keep the behind the scenes and the creators of this movie. They're like, we went for straightforward horror. We're not going to be funny. It's like, that's kind of funny, just seeing some guy violently ripping his dick. Barbara Crampton somehow gets permission to take this psycho out of the asylum and just go to the crime scene with him like the next day. And you can even see like the outline of the body like written in chalk. So they go there, and then they both take their eyes off of this mental patient for way too long, and now he's gone. They're like, oh my gosh, where is he? I just thought that was ridiculous. Like, you would keep an eye on him, at least put him in handcuffs. He's still technically a criminal. Like, he's insane. And they don't know who killed the other doctor, so he's still suspect number one. You know, you gotta keep those things in mind. Ken Foree's character would have him in cuffs, but he's not. So I call bullshit. And then we find this S&M room where there's like all these like chains and like rope hanging and sex tapes. We get some nudity on the TV. Another thing that was just funny about this movie, and I'm like, seriously, this wasn't supposed to be funny? Like, it's supposed to be straightforward horror. The beginning when the Crawford, he's running out of the house, and there's that big lady whose dog goes into the building, and she's running away, and she's screaming, but she's running so slow. It's just hilarious, her screaming and the way she's running down the stairs like 2 miles an hour. It's just funny. That wasn't supposed to be funny. So then they see the resonator, and they're trying to break it. Well, Crawford is, not Katherine, but once you're in it, it like makes you horny. I like that. So it like increases your sex drive. I forget what they called it. They say like 1,000 times, like your pineal gland or pineal. I think it's pineal gland, like some actual part of your brain that's like supposed to be in charge of like your sex drive and whatnot. So once you're in the beyond, it like makes you extra horny and it like draws you to it, and it makes you just want to keep getting sucked into that dimension where you'll be extra horny. So like Barbara Crampton, she just gets so horny. She starts like riding Jeffrey Combs and gets in that sexy outfit. It's just awesome. It's very arousing. She gets attacked by Dr. something with a P. I didn't write it down. I should probably do that from now on. But the effects of him, just how slimy, he has like a slimy like right half to him. He's got these long fingers, and they start stretching out, and then he starts like going down to finger her. This movie tries to push the envelope, but you know, in Reanimator, you got like the severed head going down on Barbara Crampton. In this one, Barbara gets fingered. It's implied, you don't see it. And he just rips her shirt right off, and boom, her boobs are right there. Awesome. And then we see this big old plant monster in the basement, and that just looks amazing. Behind the scenes, apparently, since it was in the water, it like got so heavy, it was made of foam, so it like weighed like quadruple the amount of weight, so they couldn't even like get it to like get out of the water. The doc goes to like 5 different phases. He all of a sudden his face starts melting, he almost looks like Tarman for a second, and then his head just splits open. There's like another plant monster that comes out of his head. It's just awesome. Just awesome stuff. For some reason, the plant monster, when it attacks Jeffrey Combs, he gets out of it, and he has all his hair missing, including his eyebrows, and then he's got like the tentacle thing. I guess it's supposed to be the pineal gland or whatever it's called. It's like on a little stick hanging out of his head. And the MPAA at the time wanted to give this an X rating because they're like, it's phallic, it looks like a dick. This is the unrated version, by the way. So you get to see it in its full glory if you get this copy. I recommend it. Because there's even like a scene where Jeffrey Combs is eating a brain, and then he goes to the director's wife, who's in Reanimator and Dolls. I forget her name, but she's in here, and he like sucks her eyeball out, and he's just sucking the blood out of her eye hole. It's just awesome. This is a weird scene. So there's like all these different like flies and insects in the beyond, and he throws a flashlight, and then it like turns and it's pointing towards him. And so because he's in the light, all the bugs, they stop attacking the other two, and they attack him, and they like eat his flesh so quick. It was a little weird because they're attacking the other two for like 10-15 seconds or so, and they're barely missing any skin, and then they attack him, and within 10 seconds, he is mutilated. He is, like, missing all his flesh. You can see his bone and his legs, and he's just fucked up. But it's a great-looking effect, too. But that was kind of sad. I didn't want to see Bubba go. But yeah, you got the antenna in the forehead, and it's like it takes over you, so you're, like, brainwashed by the thing in your head, because he keeps going in and out of it. He's like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Kills a couple of EMTs, and they both easily escape the asylum, and they go back and they destroy the resonator, but we get some more awesome effects. Like, it's just effects. That's what the whole movie is. There's not much story. It's just, we built this terrible thing, now we need to destroy this terrible thing, but little hiccups come along the way that prevent us from doing so. But eventually, they destroy it, and that's the story. But yeah, just awesome effect. Like Jeffrey Combs' character, he gets sucked into the other doctor monster, and then they're like internal fighting, and they just break apart. It just looks awesome. It's just, I can't say it enough. It's just awesome stuff. That's what the whole movie is basically for. It's just effects candy. It's not much gore except for like the brain and sucking out the blood out of the eyeball. Not much gore in the movie, but just body, just effects and just creature effects, all that stuff. That's what we're here to see. I like that when Crawford gets killed though, it like twists his head around like 3 times and just rips it right off. That looks pretty cool. And then yeah, Barbara Crampton, she sets the dynamite, puts it on 5 minutes, gets attacked, and then tries to escape, and it's like 20 seconds left, and then it cuts away for like 20 seconds, comes back, and it's like 15 seconds left, and it's like, bullshit, it's been 20. And then she jumps out the window on like the 3rd floor, the whole place blows up. She had like 6 sticks of dynamite. I think 1 stick would blow up that whole layer. I'm pretty sure they're fucking powerful. She has 6 of them, and it just blows up like half the house, and somehow didn't hurt her at all. But she hits the ground. I like that both her legs are mangled. They're broken. You can see like one of the legs, the knee bones like poking out. She is messed up, which she should be. I would have been calling bullshit in this review if she jumped out of the 3rd floor, and then it was like, I'm fine, I landed on a pillow. It's like, no. So yeah, she's fucked up, and basically she's crazy, and she's just laughing hysterically. She's like Chris at the end of Friday the 13th Part 3. She's just laughing because finally it's all over, so she can just finally just let it all out. She's got all these emotions, fear and pain, and now she's just laughing it all off. Like, I made it! Now she's crazy, and she's going to be locked up. And then it's over. That's the end of From Beyond. So what are your thoughts about this movie? Have you seen it before? I recommend checking it out just for the effects alone. It's just great. And the cast, as always. Barbara Crampton's pretty good in this movie. So let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button, share with all your friends. You can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month to support this channel. I would really appreciate it, and you can become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.